The Hidden Leaf Village stood bathed in the golden light of dawn, its streets slowly stirring to life as shinobi prepared for another day of missions. Yet beneath the tranquil surface, a shadow loomed, one that even the most seasoned ninja failed to detect. High atop the Hokage monument, a lone figure observed the village with cold, calculating eyes. His long, wild hair danced in the wind, and the crimson glow of his Sharingan flickered like embers in the dark. Uchiha Madara had returned, and the ninja world remained oblivious to the strings he pulled from the shadows. Naruto Uzumaki, the seventh Hokage, sat in his office, poring over mission reports with a furrowed brow. Something felt off, missing nin activity had spiked, alliances between villages were straining, and whispers of a clandestine force manipulating events reached his ears. He clenched his fist, his usual bright demeanor clouded by suspicion. "There's no way this is just coincidence," he muttered. Across from him, Sasuke Uchiha leaned against the wall, his lone Rinnegan scanning the documents with quiet intensity. "The patterns are too deliberate," Sasuke agreed. "Someone is orchestrating this, and they're good at covering their tracks." Their suspicions were confirmed that very night. A squad of Onbu operatives, sent to investigate a rogue ninja hideout, never returned. When Naruto and Sasuke arrived at the scene, they found only devastation. The forest clearing was scorched black, trees reduced to splinters, and the air thick with residual chakra that prickled against their skin like static. Naruto knelt, pressing his fingers into the ashen soil. "This wasn't just a fight," he said, his voice low. "This was a massacre." Sasuke's Sharingan whirled as he traced the remnants of a technique. Fire and lightning, but layered with something else. A genjutsu so potent it warped reality itself. Before they could react, the ground beneath them erupted. A colossal Susanoo fist slammed into the earth where they had stood, sending shockwaves through the forest. Naruto flipped midair, landing in a crouch as his nine tails cloak flared to life, golden chakra licking at his skin. Sasuke unsheathed his sword, lightning crackling along its edge. From the smoke emerged Madara, his presence suffocating, his Mangekyo Sharingan spinning lazily. "I expected you to find me eventually," he mused, his voice dripping with condescension. "Though I must admit, I hoped you'd put up more of a challenge." Naruto's eyes hardened. "Madara. You were supposed to be dead." The Uchiha chuckled. "Death is a triviality for one who has mastered the Rinnegan." With a flick of his wrist, he unleashed a barrage of black rods, chakra disruptors, streaking toward them like arrows. Sasuke blurred into motion, his sword deflecting the projectiles with precise strikes, sparks flying with each clash. Naruto lunged forward, his fist encased in a swirling vortex of wind chakra. Rasengan. The attack connected, but Madara merely phased through it, his body dissolving into intangible mist before reforming behind them. "Predictable," he taunted. Sasuke wasn't idle. His Rinnegan pulsed as he activated Amino Tejikara, swapping places with a kunai embedded in the ground. In an instant, he was behind Madara, his blade aimed for the spine. But Madara twisted, his own sword materializing to block with a deafening clang. The force of the collision sent shockwaves rippling outward, uprooting nearby trees. Naruto capitalized on the opening, forming a barrage of shadow clones that swarmed Madara from all angles. Multi-shadow clone Rasen Shuriken. The clones hurled the spiraling discs, their destructive energy converging on the Uchiha. Madara's lips curled into a smirk. Impressive. With a single hand seal, his Susanoo erupted around him, a skeletal ribcage hardening into a full-bodied warrior clad in ethereal armor. The Rasen Shuriken detonated against it, the explosions lighting up the night sky, but the Susanoo remained unscathed. Sasuke's Rinnegan flared. "We need to break through his defenses." Naruto nodded, his chakra surging as he entered Six Paths Sage mode, the golden cloak intensifying into a shimmering aura. Together, they charged, Naruto's fists wreathed in truth-seeker orbs, Sasuke's sword blazing with Amaterasu flames. Madara met them head-on, his Susanoo sword clashing against their combined assault. The impact sent shockwaves tearing through the landscape, the very earth splitting beneath them. For a moment, the three stood locked in a stalemate, their power shaking the heavens. Then, Madara's eyes gleamed with something darker. "You still don't understand, do you?" he murmured. "This world is already mine." With a sudden burst of force, he unleashed a devastating shockwave, hurling them back. Naruto skidded across the ground, his cloak flickering, while Sasuke barely caught himself with a Chidori-enhanced grip into the earth. As they struggled to regain their footing, Madara loomed over them, his Rinnegan glowing ominously. "You fight for a village that doesn't even know it's enslaved," he said. "The cage, the nations, they all dance to my tune. And soon, you will too." Naruto spat blood, his eyes burning with defiance. Like hell we will. Sasuke tightened his grip on his sword. We'll expose you, no matter what it takes. Madara merely smiled. Then prove it. With that, he vanished, leaving behind only the echo of his laughter and the chilling realization that the battle had only just begun. The ninja world was a puppet show, and Madara held the strings. But Naruto and Sasuke? They were the wild cards he hadn't accounted for, and they would tear his empire apart, one thread at a time. The battlefield trembled as Naruto and Sasuke stood back to back, their breath ragged, their bodies battered but unbroken. The sky above them swirled with ominous chakra, a testament to Madara's unseen grip over the shinobi world. Around them, fallen comrades lay strewn across the ruined landscape, their sacrifices fueling the pair's desperate resolve. Madara loomed before them, his crimson Sharingan spinning lazily, a smirk playing on his lips. You cling to hope like children, he taunted, flexing his fingers as the black rods of his truth-seeking staff materialized. But this world has always been mine to shape. Naruto gritted his teeth, his nine tails cloak flaring violently as golden chakra surged around him. We're not done yet. He lunged forward, his Rasengan spiraling in his palm, but Madara sidestepped effortlessly, countering with a devastating kick that sent Naruto skidding across the ground. Sasuke seized the opening, his Rinnegan flaring as he teleported behind Madara, Chidori screeching in his hand. Yet before the lightning could connect, Madara twisted midair, his staff deflecting the strike before slamming into Sasuke's ribs. The Uchiha coughed blood but refused to fall, activating his Susanoo in a burst of violet energy. The skeletal armor formed just in time to block Madara's follow-up strike, the impact shaking the earth. Naruto recovered, his eyes blazing with determination. We need to sync up, he shouted. Sasuke gave a sharp nod, and in an instant, their chakra intertwined, the fusion of Kurama's power and the Rinnegan's precision. Their movements became fluid, synchronized, as they launched a relentless assault. Naruto hurled a barrage of shadow clones, each one weaving hand signs for a massive Rasen Shuriken, while Sasuke flanked Madara with Amaterasu flames, the black fire licking at his heels. Madara's smirk never wavered. With a single hand seal, he summoned a perfect Susanoo, the colossal warrior cleaving through the attacks with ease. The shockwave sent both Naruto and Sasuke flying, but they twisted midair, landing on their feet. He's adapting too fast, Sasuke muttered, wiping blood from his lip. We push harder, Naruto growled. His body began to glow brighter, the markings of Sage Mode etching across his face as he tapped into nature energy. Sasuke's Rinnegan pulsed, and with a shared glance, they launched their ultimate gambit. Naruto channeled every ounce of Kurama's chakra into a single, colossal Rasengan, while Sasuke's Susanoo wrapped around it, engulfing the sphere in black flames. Madara's eyes widened for the first time. Impossible. He raised his staff to block, but the combined force of their attack shattered his defenses, the explosion engulfing him in a maelstrom of fire and wind. The ground split asunder, the shockwave rippling for miles. For a moment, silence reigned. Then, from the smoke, Madara emerged, his armor cracked, but his grin unshaken. Magnificent, he breathed. His body began to shift, his skin paling as the Rin Sharingan awakened fully on his forehead. But now, you face a god. The final battle had only just begun. The air crackled with the weight of impending doom as Naruto and Sasuke stood battered but unbroken atop the ruins of the Hidden Leaf. Blood dripped from Naruto's knuckles, his nine tails cloak flickering like a dying flame, while Sasuke's Rinnegan pulsed weakly, his vision blurred from exhaustion. Before them loomed Madara, his silhouette wreathed in the eerie glow of the infinite Tsukuyomi's fractured remnants, his laughter a venomous echo. You still don't understand, he sneered, his voice laced with centuries of cunning. This world has always been mine. Naruto gritted his teeth, his body screaming in protest as he forced chakra through his veins. He could feel Kurama's fading presence, the fox's voice a whisper in his mind, one last push, kid. Or we're done. Sasuke wiped blood from his lip, his Sharingan locking onto Madara's smug grin. We end this now, he growled, his sword humming with residual lightning. The final clash erupted in a storm of motion. Naruto lunged, a Rasengan swirling violently in his palm, its light searing the air as Madara countered with a bone-shattering kick. Sasuke blurred behind him, his blade aiming for the spine, only for Madara to twist midair, his Susanoo's skeletal arm materializing to block the strike. The impact sent shockwaves through the battlefield, dust and debris exploding outward. Madara's laughter was cut short as Naruto's shadow clone, hidden in the chaos, slammed a second Rasengan into his ribs. The Uchiha staggered, his armor cracking, but his eyes burned with undiminished fury. Pathetic, he spat, yanking Naruto forward by the wrist before driving a fist into his gut. The air left Naruto's lungs in a rush, his vision swimming as he crashed into the rubble. Sasuke seized the opening, his Amaterasu flames erupting in a black inferno. Madara Susanoo flared to life, the dark fire licking at its edges, but the heat was relentless. For the first time, a flicker of doubt crossed Madara's face. "You insects refuse to die," he snarled, his voice raw. Naruto forced himself up, his body trembling. He could feel it, the last embers of his strength, the whispers of every bond he'd ever forged. Hinata's voice echoed in his mind, "Believe in yourself." With a roar, he unleashed every ounce of chakra, his Rasengan expanding into a colossal sphere of raw energy. Sasuke, sensing the moment, channeled his remaining power into his sword, the blade crackling with purple lightning. Madara's eyes widened as they charged. He raised his hands, the Ten Tails power surging, but he was too late. Naruto's Rasengan collided with his chest at the same moment Sasuke's blade pierced his side. The explosion of light swallowed everything, the force hurling all three warriors apart. Silence. Then, the dust cleared. Madara lay broken, his body flickering between corporeal and ethereal as the last of his stolen power drained away. His lips twisted into a bitter smile. So, this is defeat. His gaze drifted to the sky, where the infinite Tsukiyomi's remnants dissolved like ash. Perhaps I underestimated you. Naruto collapsed to his knees, his vision darkening at the edges. Sasuke staggered to his side, his breathing ragged. "We did it," Naruto managed, his voice hoarse. But the cost was undeniable. The world around them bore the scars of their battle, entire landscapes reshaped, villages reduced to rubble. Yet, as the sun pierced through the clouds for the first time in days, a fragile hope stirred. In the aftermath, alliances reforged. The five nations, once fractured by Madara's manipulations, stood united in the face of reconstruction. Naruto, despite his exhaustion, became the symbol of that unity, his dream of peace no longer a naive ideal, but a tangible path forward. Sasuke, his vengeance spent, found purpose in atonement, his travels now dedicated to undoing the shadows of the past. And Madara? His name became a warning, a testament to the dangers of unchecked power and isolation. But in his final moments, as his consciousness faded, he had glimpsed something in Naruto's eyes, something he'd long forgotten. Perhaps this world wasn't meant to be ruled. As the survivors emerged from the wreckage, hands reached out to rebuild. The future was uncertain, but for the first time in generations, it was theirs to shape. The battle was over. The real work had just begun.